Earlier in the year, I replaced the entire suspension on my trailer with new components because I was pretty sure what was on there was the original 55-year-old equipment. And I got to try the trailer out with the new suspension for the first time when I went to Cleetus Cars, and I discovered a couple things that I needed to address. One thing being, once the car was on the trailer, I couldn't open the door without him hitting the top of the car door hitting the top of the trailer tires, so that was a big no-no. And then also my original stabilizer jacks that I had bought and put on there, they weren't holding up well at all, and it was causing me troubles loading and unloading the car. So in this video you'll see some of the upgrades I did. I added some lift blocks on the trailer springs, which moved the axle from above the spring to below the spring, and it gained me 3 to 4 inches. And I also upgraded with a much nicer scissoring stabilizer jack that turned out to be a great investment. And while I was at it, the aesthetics looked a little funny after I raised the trailer. There was a lot of space between the fender and the top of the tire, so I chopped the fenders down and upgraded the swing out hinges while I was at it. So I hope you enjoy watching all of this. I'm basically just undoing all the new hardware I recently put on when I put the new suspension together, so this shouldn't be too big of an ordeal. Since I'm a one-man show, the easiest way for me to do this by myself was to undo the springs and basically just roll the axle out and roll it underneath the spring. I have the wiring for the electric brakes tied to the spring, so I need to cut that free before I drop it and rip it out of the back of the brake. I can drop the ends of the springs and take the axle out rather than taking the entire spring off. Just one little step to make it a little easier. It was a very comfortable spring morning on the day that I did all this work. So only one bolt so far is giving me any trouble. I'll take that. I started by cutting off the U-bolts because the lift kit comes with new U-bolts, and I quickly decided that that was more trouble than it was worth, so I went back to using hand tools. I'm bringing out the bracketry for the lift kit, and I'm going to do a little test fitting to see how everything goes together. I keep calling this a lift kit, but the actual item is Dexter Trailer Springs Over-Under Conversion Kit, and you'll need 2 of them for a double axle trailer, as mine is, and I got them on etrailer.com. It's noted in the instructions that you can tack weld these brackets to the axles, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Of course you need a clean surface to weld to, so I'm going to use my flap wheel and clean off the axles. They're a bit rusty. We're treating the passenger side of the trailer, as we'll call it, just like the driver's side trailer. While I'm jacking the axle up into position, you can see the over-under bracket bolts to the existing bracket that was already welded to the axle. And then that slides up into position, and there's a little dowel on the spring that the new bracket sits right into. The kit comes with new longer U-bolts and a bracket that once you bolt all this together, it sandwiches everything onto the spring in its new location. These jam nuts allow you to level the new bracket with your existing bracket. Charlene came out to check on my progress and make sure I haven't hurt myself or driven myself crazy or anything else, you know, alarming. I've jumped ahead just a little bit because you've already seen me bolt the over-under bracket on, so the other three are exactly the same. And here I am, the axle, well, we'll call the dummy axle, the one that doesn't have brakes. It's already bolted back on the springs, and I am bolting the springs back onto the trailer. Now that the axle springs and over-under brackets are all bolted on, I need to weld the brackets to the axles on the passenger side of the trailer. Welding is one of my most favorite things to do. I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. I'm pretty much self-taught, and then I learned a lot of skills at a previous job that I had. Yeah, here we are, just welding away. With everything basically reassembled as it's going to set, I went around and tightened all the suspension bolts one last time. Now it's time to hit all that bare metal with some fresh black paint. Being this is my first car trailer, it's also my first wheeled item that does not have axle studs. The bolts themselves actually hold the wheels to the axles, and I don't know, maybe somebody can shed some light on that. Is that common for trailers? As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, after I raised the trailer, there was a lot of space in between that fender and the top of the tire, and you can see right here, it looks pretty funny. I like to think outside the box, and those are actually food cans masking taped to the top of the tires, and they provided the perfect space once the fender was set on there for me to weld the fender in place. How about a weird behavior alert and a time lapse of me chopping down the trailer fender? After chopping the fenders down to get rid of the excessive wheel well gap after I raised the suspension, that meant the hinges that I had on there to make the fender swing out had to be cut off. So this time around I upgraded with a lot heavier gate hinge, because the previous ones I had broke a couple of times and I had to patch them. Yes, I'm using my welding mask with the grinder. The clear visor's laying right there on the trailer, but I already had this mask on and I could see through it just fine. Saved a few seconds. Of course, this silly fender became difficult once I wanted to hold it in the exact position to weld the hinges to it. These were the fenders that were on the trailer when I bought it, and of course they're tweaked a little bit, I'm sure, you know, from years of use. So we're kind of using the eyeball and leveling method to get them where they look decent. Here is the finished fabrication on the driver's side. I have yet to touch the passenger side. And here is the finished driver's side. I hit it with some black spray paint to keep everything from rusting. And here is the finished fabrication work on the passenger side of the trailer. You might notice that I did beef up the backside of the fender with a piece of angle iron. Here are a couple shots of the finished trailer with the over-under conversion kit on it that raised it up about 3 to 4 inches. The modified fenders, they're lowered to look a lot better on the trailer, and I'm still sporting the old stabilizer jacks in these photos, but if you look at the last picture, here is the completed trailer with a sneak peek of the new scissor jacks, which will be in the next video featuring the trailer. We have Firebird decals, and I'd love for you to have one. You can get one at my eBay store at the link in the description below.